Hi Leo, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol, and Leo, this is going to be a general reading for 2025. And 2025 is going to be a transformative year, and so I want to help you look at three big areas of your life where I think will definitely kind of push you forward into some personal growth for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on speed shuffle right now, and I'm going to set up your reading for you, and then I'll come back on and I'll read. The main part of your reading is going to focus on three areas: power, truth, and purpose. And so if you look at my table right here, on my right hand side, I have what is your outer world. It's going to be your left hand side, but this is your outer world. This is what you're conscious of. Yeah, if you were to sit down with me right now, you'd be able to tell me about these three areas right here in your life. And then on the left hand side, that's going to be your inner world. It's going to be your unconscious. It's going to be your shadow. And so we're going to be doing some shadow work here, because our shadow is the unconscious part of us, is what actually drives or it has the biggest impact on what's going on with our life right now. And so as we look through each one of these areas, I'm also going to look at where is this coming from? What's the origin of, why these things are happening right now in your life? So let's get into the spirit animal that I pulled for you, which is the koala spirit. And the koala spirit says, Spirit has a plan for you. So in nature, the koala moves slowly through the branches of the eucalyptus tree, leisurely chewing the leaves, reminding us that life is not a race or a competition. Chasing around after every distraction can keep us from recognizing that we have all we need. You are being asked to trust that by moving slowly with faith in the abundance that is everywhere, surrendering to a power greater than yourself, you will be able to experience the manifestation of your desire. It's very interesting that you got this koala spirit, because the first card that I pulled for you in your reading was this Four of Swords card, and we'll get into it in a second. And the Four of Swords is all about slowing down. So, and then you get the koala spirit says, kind of slow down and realize that there's a plan here that's bigger than you. So it's quite interesting. And then I also pulled you, so the spirit animal card was pulled from the Spirit Oracle deck here. And then I pulled you a goddess card from the Dark Goddess Tarot. And you got Thyone right here. And Thyone is the Greek goddess of divine frenzy. Now, I'm not going to read you everything, but I'm just going to kind of pick a few things here that are important. So Thyone is a mortal who becomes a goddess. And so she's the wild, intoxicating god of wine and of nature. And there's a question here on my page that says, how far would you go to meet God? God with a small g. She is the high priestess of Dionysus rites, the Bacchic orgies. She leads the Maenads, the frenzied ones, in their tumultuous rampage through the mountains as they worship, dancing, clashing cymbals, haunting flutes, jangling. So she's very much someone that is, a leader here. And so it says that when she appears in your reading, you cannot stop what's happening. You can't prevent it from overwhelming you. The only way out is through the situation. So keep going. Don't give up. The future holds change that's going to set you free. So that's the goddess that you have, Thyone, right here. Now, and at the end, I'm going to pull you a Shaman's Dream card and also some advice from the tarot right here. So let's look at your main reading. Let's start to look at these three areas. Now, if you notice on my picture, your outer world, which is right here, is a mirror. And it's a mirror to what's happening in your inner world. And if we can recognize that, if there's one thing that, this year that you can focus on, is start to really become aware of what's going on in my outer world, because everything that's going on is a reflection of what needs healing in our inner world. And in my own healing journey, my own intensive healing journey that I've been doing for the last 7.5 years for my own complex trauma, that is one thing I slowly became aware of, was what are the signs out there? What are the synchronicities? What's going on out there with my relationships? With all these things that are happening in my life were just triggers for what was coming up in my inner world to be healed. And it's fascinating once you can start to realize that. But this healing journey is a process. So let's look at, I'm going to help you start to look at what's going on here. So let's start off with the power here. So I want to look at, in your outer world, what pattern or old habit is showing up for you right now. And if it's a pattern, you're aware of it. And even if it's a habit, like you're aware of this going on right now, and it's not serving you anymore, and you need to let it go. You need to release it in order to take back your own power. And so we're going to look at that, and then we're going to look at, okay, so what's blocking you? What's preventing you from dropping this or letting this thing go, right? So let's start off with, we started off with the Four Swords, and I do want to say that you have a lot of sword energy in your reading, which I noticed when it came out. You had quite a lot of swords. Swords is all about our mental thoughts, our mental energy, the things that we tell ourselves, the things that we spin on. It's like this little voice in our head that's always saying things to us, right? That's our sword energy. And a lot of times, you realize that these are things that you were told that you believe about yourself. They were told when you were younger to yourself. People told that to you and you believed it. I mean, we're sponges when we're younger. And so this card comes out as a Four of Swords here, as what old habit or pattern is no longer serving you. Well, you definitely, it says like you need to take time out here. You need to take time out for yourself to, slow down, to get some stillness. And so maybe you're somebody that's very much busy. And we talked about, this Thyone here, how she's really a frenzied goddess. And I just pictured this frazzled goddess in my head. Well, I'm wondering, is that you? Is that you, that's somebody that's quite frazzled and very distracted and running a lot? And so there's a call here for you, and maybe, this is a pattern where it's like, you need to slow down, and maybe that, but it's just, you're on run. You can't, it's an automatic pilot where you can't slow down. And then, the Strength card comes in here, and it says, there's a reason why you need to slow down, because you have the strength here to start to look at, to start to open up that Pandora's box that we all need to look at. Because there's something in here that's coming up for healing for you. And it's something that's going to help you, like, take back your own power and find out, because once you start healing these things that are coming up and that are screaming at you to want to be healed, this is where you start to take back your own power here. And then you have the Six of Swords that comes right behind it. And I'm seeing here that whenever this card comes out, to me, it's a card of safety. It's a card where this individual is taking these two, looks like a mother and child, taking them away to, which looks like, a smoother area here, smoother waters, because they're leaving this rough water. So I'm wondering here if, there's, maybe you need to get yourself into a safe place. Maybe you need to slow down to realize, that you're not in a safe place. And that's why maybe you're running, but you have the strength. You have the strength to take this power back of yours and realize that, it's time for me to get still. And maybe there's a safer place I need to go to. And so what is it in your inner world? What is it from your childhood? What is it from your adolescence that you've put away there's something here that needs to be healed, and I'm going to imagine it has something to do with this safety issue here of not feeling safe that's keeping you running all the time. Well, the first card that comes out, no surprise, is this knight. Look at this knight, how fearless it is, how it's wanting to run, it's wanting to get back to with their sword. The sword is their authenticity, their truth. So here you have this, I call it my freedom fighter, these knights in the deck. And it's a part of everyone. It's an adolescent part of you that just wants to be free, wants to get back to your authenticity and who you are. And I'm seeing here, and that's why there's this real call here for you to get still. But when you were younger, you had this part of you, but it's buried right here. There was this part of you when you were younger that wanted to be you, that wanted to be real. But the Six of Swords comes out again. So you weren't in a safe place when you were younger to express yourself, to be that Leo that you were meant to be. Leo is very creative, and Leo is very much that sign that is very bold and courageous and is out there. That's you. But I think when you were younger, there was something where it was like you didn't feel safe when you were younger to express you and to let that real you come out. I imagine, I'm a mother too, and I remember when my kids were younger, and my daughters in particular wanted their hair dyed. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to get into that, and I wouldn't let them. And I think back now, now I'm different now, but I think, well, who cares? Like I could have let them dye their hair. Things like that, where you wanted to express yourself, maybe with the clothes you wanted to wear, or things that you wanted to do, and you wanted this freedom just to be the authentic you, but you didn't feel safe enough. And you have this king that comes in as your last card in your shadow for your childhood. And what was going on here? And the king is the masculine side to us. It's our ego self. It's that side of us that protects us, that comes in and protects us. And it very much is a part of us that wants to keep you safe, and especially when you're younger. And it's the King of Pentacles. It's the king that, if the pentacle talks about grounding, being very grounded in our body, being very centered, right? And so this king, when it realized when you were younger, your ego self, when you were a child and you weren't allowed to be you weren't in a safe environment to be you, it would have kicked in, and it would have taken you out of your body, because when you're in your body, you feel all your big emotions. And so as a child, when you weren't allowed to be that courageous, that expressive, that playful, that energetic Leo that you're meant to be, this ego self would have shut everything down and made you go into your head, taking you out of your body, because your body are where your emotions are. And so now that you're being asked to, let's go back in your body and start to feel. Let's start to feel some of these emotions right here. Let's start to slow down. You're being brought back to this. And it's like, well, no, that's not safe for me. I can't do that. That's not safe for me, because it wasn't safe for you when you were a child. And so you're feeling like it's not safe for you now. Now let's go into the area of your truth. So first of all, let's look at, what's your outer world here? What false idea or belief about yourself do you need to become aware of here? And maybe I think you might know this. We're going to start off with the Ten of Swords again. And again, that's that Ten of Swords energy. It's in reverse, in an upright position. Here's this individual. Here are all these thoughts, these belief systems, these things that people told you about yourself, that made you feel really small, that made you feel really unworthy, that made you fear being that bold Leo that you're meant to be. And so this is what it's done to you. And I don't think you realize that you have really kind of, when I see that turned around, it's like the fear of being that courageous Leo has really did this to you, because all these things that people told you has just kind of, I picture this person kind of like, you know, I don't know, hiding their head, kind of not wanting to get up, and there's just so much pain there that people have told you, and you're carrying it. But look, look what it's done to you. And I think it's time here that you start to realize it, because this is the 10. It's like, I think it's the end of the cycle where it's like, this has really done me in. And I think it's time for you to realize, what's happening with you and why. And the next card that comes in is another sword card. And this time you have 3 swords here. 3 swords here for the belief system you have about yourself. This 5 of Swords card is this individual has this real grimace on his face. I mean, look at the clouds. They're jagged clouds, right? He's so proud of himself. He has just won this battle. He's won this battle, and I call this my bullying card. I picture him like that bully that's turning around and going, yeah, I took your swords away, right? But I always like to focus on this individual at the back right here. And he's back there, he's holding his head because he's full of shame. And that's why bullies bully people, is they're just full of because they're full of shame themselves. And so they have to give their shame away to you. And so I think here these swords that you've been really feeling has done you in, this unworthiness that you feel about yourself, this shame that's been handed down to you. And this is the false belief that you have about yourself, that you're unworthy. And then you end up with this Ace of Swords. And the sword, the Ace of Sword in particular, is a gift from the universe. It's a offer to get back to your truth. The sword of truth. The sword of your authenticity and who you really are. But this is in reverse. It's like, I don't want to touch this. I mean, I think there's just so much heaviness that you believe about yourself. This unworthiness, this shame is weighing you down. And yet there's this offer on the table for you that you don't even see. It's like it's time for you to start to recognize, how, who you really are, who the true Leo is, who that courageous Leo is, who that creative Leo is, and that bold Leo is. And it's just been like there's these swords that have put in your back all your life, and you've just been carrying them around. And so let's look at, where does this illusion of this unworthiness, where is this coming from? Let's look at your childhood here, your shadow. And I don't make this up, but you've got your Ace of Swords right here in your shadow, and you have it right here. We just talked about it. You had the 6 of Swords at the top in your power, and here it is again. And that's why when I do this reading, I really make sure that when I do the clarifiers of each side, because it's a mirror, I use different decks for my clarifiers. And it's fascinating sometimes how they just come out. And so your authenticity right here, this offer of you, this offer to you from the universe saying, do you want to get back to who you are? It's coming out for you. And here it is buried right here. You buried it when you were younger. There was a part of you that when you were about 4, 5, 6 years old, you knew exactly who you were when you came here. You came here for a purpose. You came here for a reason on earth. And, we have gifts to bring to this earth. And you buried who you really were. Because we've already established that you didn't feel safe enough. You didn't feel safe enough when you were younger to be who you were. Look at this individual right here, right behind this Ace of Swords when you were younger. The 9 of Wands talks about an individual that has been through a lot. And wands are very conflicting energy because they always want to move. They always want to move towards our purpose. But here you are, instead of moving towards your authenticity and your purpose, you were busy when you were younger setting up all these barriers, setting up all these putting up all these walls around you, or these trying to set these boundaries. You would have been really young, so it would have been really difficult. I look at this card saying it's a card that needs to set up boundaries. You needed this protection around you, and you didn't have it. You didn't have it. And the High Priestess comes in as major arcana, this universal force here. And this is the High Priestess is a feminine archetype, our energy that we all have. And this High Priestess represents our inner knowing, our deep inner knowing, intuition. Again, when you were 4, 5, 6 years old, you knew you had this inner knowing. You had that feminine quality of intuition, but it was blocked when you were younger, because when we are no longer in our body, and we established that, this King of Pentacles had to come in and kind of take you out of your body, because couldn't keep you, had to put you up in your head, because your body wasn't a safe place, because it had a lot of big emotions for you to feel. And you have to be in your body in order to access your intuition. And when you were younger, you lost that part of you, that inner knowing of who you really were, because it was very unsafe for you to stay in your body and to know who you were. And you weren't able to, have the courage to go out there and find out who you really were. You were too young. And there's things that happen to us, and we lose that authentic part of us and that sense of who you are. You knew who you were. And your purpose here. So the last part is, what is the main obstacle that you're aware of right here that's preventing you from taking that step that you want to take, or taking that next step and you might not even know what it is, but it's towards who you are, your purpose, your authenticity. What's blocking you in 2025? What's going to be blocking you? Well, you start off with a beautiful knight again. And the knights, I told you, are my freedom fighters. And you had the knight of, you have 2 knights here in the deck, in your reading. And this one is the Knight of Pentacles. And he's carrying this knight, this part of you that wants freedom, that doesn't want to be controlled anymore, that wants freedom to become grounded, that wants to be centered, that wants to have that feeling of knowing, like being in your body and knowing who you are, having a real strong sense of that. And so there's this part of you in you, I can feel it, that freedom that's wanting to come out towards, becoming centered, becoming grounded, becoming authentic. That's what's happening right now. But this part in you has been around for a long time. And sometimes it can feel hopeless, and it can bring on sometimes some anger, because you've been trying to get back to your authenticity that's been sitting here in your shadow, that's blocked for so long now, that this knight's coming out to pull you towards that purpose of yours, that authentic, real you. And the next thing that's gonna block you is this 6 of Pentacles that comes in here. And the 6 of Pentacles in an upright position speaks about this whole idea of giving and receiving. My 6s have that duality where they have, and like in this case, like I said, it's this individual that, these 2 individuals that are begging, and they'll ask for, I think I'm worth 3 coins. And so this individual is going to weigh it out for them, because if think you're worth 3 coins, that's what you're going to receive, right? It's all about giving and receiving. And so this card is really a card of unworthiness. And I think it's in reverse here because I think you need to realize that, you know, what you think you're worth is what's going to come in for you. And until you start, I haven't looked at your advice from the tarot yet, but I think you know that until you start to work on this unworthiness here that you're feeling about yourself, that's not your fault. It's these, you know, thought patterns that people gave you when you were younger that made you feel like you were unworthy, right? Gave you that shame, right? And the last card that comes out is the King of Swords. Here's another king. Here's our ego self again. This ego self will come in when, you know, here I am talking about getting back in your body, going towards your authenticity. Well, here's your authenticity right here. Here's that sort of authenticity, and we talked about that. It's buried here, right here in your shadow, and then you've got it over here in your outer world. And now the king, and now your ego self is holding on to it. You know what the ego self said? You know, it wants nothing to do with you, to get back into your body and to find out who you are and go towards your authenticity. Our ego self is the king of status quo. It's the king of putting on our masks because society says we're supposed to be a certain way. And so this ego self will keep you putting on all these masks, right? But really, you know, it's time to start peeling off these masks, right? To go towards your authenticity. And I find too when that you have a knight and a king coming up close right here, this brings up a lot of anxiety. And so I'm wondering if you're someone that feels a lot of anxiety. And I wouldn't be surprised because this reading started off with you needing to take some time to yourself, needing to get still. Remember, our goddess here is the frenzied goddess, right? And so when I hear the word frenzy, I think of anxiety, you know, anxious kind of person here. And so I'm wondering if there's a lot of anxiety on your part, and that's why you're being asked to get still right now. So I'm going to go through the advice from the tarot right here, and then I'm going to tell you what the Shaman's Dream Oracle card that I pulled for you right now. And so the Death card, I don't think I mentioned that I was using, I need to tell you that now I'm telling you that I am using the Curious Travels deck right here. I usually mention what I'm using right here. So the Curious Travels, the Death card in the Curious Travels deck came out for you as the advice from the tarot, and it's in reverse. The Death card comes out when it says, there are things in our life, old habits, people, that need to go. We need to release them. And, you know, this whole top thing up here, this whole top row was about what you need to release here. About, you know, your safety and stillness. And so, and I don't think when it's in reverse, it's like you have this big fear, and that's why you don't want to get still. Because there's this big fear of yours to release these old habits that you have, or release, I mean, it could be that release that whole thing about running and running and running, right? And that frenziness, that your anxiety this is all causing some anxiety here. And maybe there's people in your life that need to go as well. But like I said, it's in reverse, and there's a real fear on your part too. The Star card comes next. And the Star card reminds us that there's some real healing that needs to take place. And I think you know that. This Strength card that comes in, and I talk like it's the opening up the Pandora's box here. There's a big, huge call, if you haven't heard me say it a few times, for you to, Leo, to get some real stillness. And that's going to take a hell of a lot of courage No surprise here that you have this lion coming out for you. You are a courageous sign. You have it in you. And that's what the strength card is about. You have it in you to start to move towards some real healing that needs to be done. And notice how this angel, this individual that's become very naked and very vulnerable. And it's time now that you become very vulnerable and see you, your true, authentic self, right? No more masks. No more masks. Take off those masks. Move towards who you really are. And you're going to dip your toe, one foot into this water. Water refers to emotions. Just a little bit, you know. You're just going to open up that Pandora's box just a little bit at a time because it's really difficult to do. But you do that when you get still, right? And you're going to open up that Pandora's box just a little bit. And the last card that comes out here is the Queen of Wands. And the Queen is our feminine side. Talked about a lot with our King being our masculine side, our ego self. The Queen is the feminine side to us. We all have both. And it's got nothing to do with our gender. And this Queen is the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is the Queen that knows. She's very much the part of us that is in her body. She's very grounded. And she knows who she is. She knows what her purpose is. She knows what her creative purpose is. Leo, you are a very creative sign. And when I say creative purpose, I'm talking about taking your life into that direction that is meant for you. The one where you take these little steps for yourself that may seem absolutely huge. The one where people are going to look at you and go, what the hell is that person doing? Why are they doing that? Well, it's because that's what you want to do. That's because you're Leo. And that's because it's time now for you to get bold. It's time now for you to get courageous. Get out there and be the Leo that you were always meant to be. And that's who this Queen is, the Queen of Wands. And kind of here for you to say, you know, that's that feminine side of you that knows once you get grounded and back in your body, that knows what direction you're supposed to be in. I'm going to pull out your card right here and talk about this, your final card here. And I'm going to leave you with a couple of my playlists that I have from my other channel called Carol Cares. And they are a playlist on grounding and how to get back into your body. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And I take you into my backyard and I show you how to do it. And also on journaling. Those are my two number one tools that I use in my life that I can't live without now on my own healing journey. And so for you, I pulled the Eye of the Needle, number 17, intentionality. If you look through the eye of a needle, what do you see? Summon the experience of being so singular focused on the task ahead that it becomes natural to remove everything that is causing you distraction, everything that's non-essential so that you can succeed. What is, in this case, the definition of success for you? In order for the threading of the needle to happen, everything not in alignment with your goal in order for the threading of the needle to happen, everything not in alignment with your goal needs to go. And that is this Death card, right where I talked about things need. So once you have this focus, once you look through the eye of the needle and everything that is not in your alignment of where you want to go, because the Queen of Wands is here talking about where you're going. This is the only way you'll get what you need. Shrewd discernment, the willingness to winnow down the needle thread connection to its essence. The eye of the needle looks so tiny, but once your intention threads through it, a vast opportunity is presented on the other side. The needle can mend. It can sew things together to make something meaningful in you. You're experiencing success right now. Stay true to your desires, to the work you need to accomplish, so you are laser focused on the experience of creating and manifesting. The outcome is assured by divine forces. Wow. What a reading for you, Leo. I look forward to doing your readings in 2025 for you. I want you to know that you are on the most difficult journey of your life, this healing journey, but it's the most powerful one and the most important one that you'll ever do. Talk soon. Bye-bye.